All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. We had another down day to start the year. We have the non-farm payrolls tomorrow in the morning, and it's getting pretty complicated, so there's a good chance the stock market is going to go crazy tomorrow. So I have the breakdown for you. We are going to go over the numbers. I'm going to give you my thoughts and ideas, but I really want you to pay attention of what we need to be looking out for, because like I'm saying, there is a very good chance the market could go absolutely wild, especially how we opened up this year. But if you have seen some of the other non-farm payrolls, unfortunately, it has been closely tied to other follow-up data, and there's also just as good of a chance that we kind of chill out and the market gets in this wait-and-see mode. So I have that breakdown for you. I have a couple of plays, but before I explain any of that, what I need you to know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. If you can't find the stream, all you got to do is press /live, and when I am live, it will take you there. But why am I telling you like this? Why am I showing you the channel so you could get a good look of it? Is because I will be live tomorrow for this data, and I will be live an hour earlier. Before the non-farms comes out, around 10 to 15 minutes prior, we will be live and going over everything. If I get any new information that I won't be able to update on the watch list, we will be going over that live. If you have any questions, especially after yesterday's video, man, if you don't understand anything or you got questions, maybe I said something a little too fast and I'm going all crazy, come ask me online, and I would love to show you live because it's very easy to do so. And like I'm saying, tomorrow is a big day. So I'll see you there in the morning. In the meantime, drop that thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, wait, I already said that. Run it, baby.
Walking to the couch, it's the 2020 last. Live in the hills, but still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, although we had a kind of wild day, there was a couple of events. You did even get some earnings out of Mobileye, which kind of affected the chip makers. We don't need to talk about yesterday or today. We need to talk about tomorrow because the non-farm payrolls is going to be the first big data event of the year. And like I was telling you, the other problem or what's going to make this complicated is that the CPI is next week, and ever since Powell and the market has been having tighter conditions, looser conditions, pricing in rate cuts, all of this stuff, everybody has been tying in the non-farms with the CPI, especially if the numbers come in line. Everyone's going to say, well, what are we going to get after that? So like I'm saying, it's going to be complicated, but beyond that, what makes this even more complicated is that this is the worst start to the year in terms of percentage declines since 2008. So why is that important? One, you could see the percentage-wise. So the way we're starting off this year, the last time we dropped any amount like this, it was 2008. A lot of similarities between now and 2005. Believe it or not, the last time the NASDAQ dropped more than 1% 2 days in a row to start off the year, it was 2005. But other than that, when you see how some of these years start, everybody keeps telling you about 1999. Well, there you go. The first 3 trading days, 1999, it was down almost 4.5%. So we're not quite there yet. But why I'm saying this, because it is pretty rare that you see the market start off in the first week of the year with only red days. Everyone's looking at how much did it drop? How much did the dollar and bonds go up? There's a lot of different factors to start off the comparison of the beginning of the year, but there's very few and far between where every single trading day of the first week, especially even in the next week, that you see the market go red. And that's why I'm saying this is going to be complicated, because every day has been red so far. It's like in a weird way, you know, like the roulette table, all I've seen is red, 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 red. There could be a chance we get black on there, but at the same time, you may not see that. That's the first thing that's going to complicate it, how we've moved. And like I've told you here, arguably there's a more important data set next week with the CPI, and that very well can trigger the whole, well, yeah, we have a reaction, let's move around for a little bit, and then we just get back to doing what we're doing, and then we play this wait and see until we get more of the earnings and then the CPI next week. That is definitely in the cards. So So that's how I'm going to start it here with you, and I will go over the numbers. But the first thing I want you to know, and I'll show you when I get to the chart here, it'll make a lot of sense. I think the numbers are going to play out like last time. And what do I mean by that? We're going to have slightly lower expectations from all the analysts and economists, even the Fed. If you read the minutes, people were talking about the labor market coming into better balance. That's why you keep seeing all these expectations come lower. And then I think the result is either going to be slightly higher or slightly lower, and it is going to come in at the status quo. This is my new word of the year, because every time we're like in line, it's at expectations and this and that, and I'll probably still use that, but for now, even if something isn't changing too much, even if it barely misses or beats, there's this general status quo of how things have been, and as long as that doesn't change, it's not upsetting everybody, and it's allowing them to go into that whole let's wait and see and then go from there. So with that being said, now let's jump to the data so you can see what I'm talking about. I might need to zoom in a little bit or you'll get a better idea. Here's the chart. This is what happened last time, but the answer is in the numbers here. At what we had in December, the forecast, you had one at 160, you had consensus at 180, and remember, I was telling you there was a range if you were keeping up with the watch list, and then the last one was 150,000, and then it came in at 199. That is what you are seeing right here. So what do we have for tomorrow? You have one low forecast at 150, consensus at 170. I have another number from FactSet that is saying 160,000. I do believe Bloomberg is around there. A lot of people are expecting this number to come down and the labor market coming into better balance, but you could see it's pretty similar to what we dealt with last time. And then if we get anything, 20,000 above, 20,000 below, it probably will trigger that wait and see reaction, and then we're going to just resume and deal with whatever we have been dealing with. So this is going to come out an hour before the bell. Like I already told you, we will be there live, but how does this get complicated now? I've already told you some of those other things, but you have a problem, and this is what I want you to look out for. I'm really glad that I made that video yesterday on options and expectations. Why? Because just like in earnings, if something comes in line and the market is kind of priced for that, or they price slightly above that to account for something where it just doesn't fall too much out of line, then you don't really get too big of a reaction. Usually your options don't play out. So how are we going to apply this to the data right now is because the way I'm looking at it, I think tomorrow is going to be a punt. If we do, in fact, get that number slightly above, slightly below, that is like coming in towards the expectations. It's not going to trigger a 2 standard deviation or 2 standard deviation move on the S&P. So why is this a problem? Because with the way things have been, how we've opened up, all these other factors, if anything comes in a lot higher than the expectation or a lot lower, either way, we will be prone to triggering a 2 standard deviation, maybe a 3 standard deviation reaction since it's the beginning of the year. But like I'm telling you, you do have that follow-up with the CPI, so maybe that will be the parachute that saves it all. But the reason why I'm saying this is because if we get too big of a drop, that means that the job market is tightening too fast, and there could be a problem with the economy, or people will start getting worried. That has been even the narrative from the Fed minutes that we just got. The Fed themselves even said if things in the job market drop more quickly, and they did say they're in a highly uncertain environment, that means things can get pretty negative, and that could create some sort of a problem for them. But on the other hand, if we get a big increase, it was the holidays, we're getting ready for election, a lot of reasons why can make the number go high, even with some of the data, especially even ISM services today. If we get a big increase, well, that means the economy is way too hot right now for any of these rate cut expectations, and you still may get the market freaking out. This isn't kind of Goldilocks scenario, because like I'm saying, we're already dealing with negativity, so if it comes in line, it's not to say we're going to rip and say, oh, Goldilocks. I don't know if that's the voice Goldilocks makes, but the general idea is too hot, too cold. They could cause really bad reactions, and then in the middle, it's kind of going to be a toss-up, especially if we do need to get some things more in balance in terms of what rate cuts have already been pricing in. That good data so far, bad data so far, it's not really caused us to move, but you've started off the year going down every single day. So that being said, I hope you're ready for tomorrow. If there is going to be a big move, it's going to happen in too hot or too cold, and it could cause a big one, but really at the margins, it may be a punt, and then before you know it, we're going to end the week. Maybe it'll be 5 days down. Maybe we get a participation medal and get a little bit of green, slightly above break even, and then we start punting into next week, get a couple of the bank earnings out of the way, then you have CPI, and then the bigger banks, and then the tech next week, and then before you know it, it's going to be Powell, and hopefully we'll get a better idea of where the year is going from there. So on that note, I do want to leave you with one more thing, one little tip, and this is going to work until it doesn't. So I want you to pay attention, but the one thing I've been noticing about this weirdness with the market, regardless of what has been happening with the data, in the short term, I think the dollar is the answer. Quite simply, if the dollar goes up, the dollar has gone up every single day so far. It's doing a move like it did in 2005, and that was a negative start to the year, a really negative one. Well, if the dollar goes up in this case, I do think the markets won't like that, and we will go down. But however, if we do get data that could shoot the dollar down, or we even just see the dollar kind of chill out, I think that would allow the market to hold up, or at the very least, not sell off every day and add to this awful start percentage-wise to the year. So in my mind, I want to say this will last only until earnings in Powell, which is right around the corner, but this will last until it doesn't. But this is definitely a big factor to start off the year that I don't see everybody talking about. It gets brought up in the conversation, but you could really see its pervasive effect in the terms of dollar strong, we ain't doing nothing. Dollar weak, anytime, even intraday, when the dollar's a little bit weak, we like it, but then right when that reverts, you going right back down. So keep that in mind. I hope you're ready for tomorrow. I hope I see you there, but now let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays, one related to the data, one not related, and then one very, very broad that I've been in for a while, and I could even give you a long-term update, but let's start with it, man. The first play is Baidu and Baba. I did add Baba to the long term yesterday at 74.60. I grabbed 85 shares in the big account, 8 shares in the small account, and then I grabbed 2 shares for Colt's sister. So I am holding that for minimum 10 years, and I like it there. We don't have any foreign exposure in the long term, so thought it might be time, and they're at like a 3-year low, even down, I think, like, 30% from like last year or the end of last year or something like that, but I really like it. It has value. It even offers a little dividend. It's like 1.3%, but I did add the Baba, and then Baidu, you guys have known I've been holding that. I made a play in August, I made a play in November, and then I averaged down big in December, and that has already gone up. I'm a slightly above break even on 500 shares in my flip account, but the thing is, the way I'm looking at all of this, even with China moving forward, depending on the data, earnings, Powell, and all that for the rest of the month, I think China is either going to have a recovery, we will get surprised, or people will start pumping it, or if we start doing really bad and hard landing really starts to reemerge and appear, then I think China will start doing good. Why? We do good, China goes down. We do bad, China starts going up. They will pick up this slack. And if you think about it, how many times have you seen beaten down names? If the market really starts dumping, even the big tech, money starts to flow into those heavy underperformers. It's literally been that outperformance we've even seen at the beginning of this year and the end of last year. So that's why I like it. If anything, we are just waiting on the Wall Street pump train. Once Wall Street gets involved, just like last year, it was down for a little bit. Everybody was still worried. Then everyone's like, it's the best trade of the year. Morgan Stanley said it's 120, and then it just like goes down right away. So you will get a little bit of mania at one point is kind of what I'm expecting, but maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it does, but I really don't think people will resist the China plays much longer, especially depending on what happens. I don't really see too much of a world right now where in the early stages of us doing bad, China starts getting worse. Maybe they'll get a little bit of a bid. I'm not saying this will hold up permanently, but in general, I am looking for an opposite reaction between China stocks and our stocks to a degree. So watch out for that tomorrow. Maybe we'll get a signal, and even then, the last couple of days, these China plays have been holding up. So watch out for that. That is play number 1. Then play number 2, This one, you might be able to get something out of it tomorrow, depending on what happens. But if it's in the middle or everybody wants to do the wait and see and wait for CPI, well, be careful if you get time on this play linked to an option. It may be a little bit more dangerous, but there has been some pretty big volatile moves in bonds. So I have TLT up here as the play. That is for the ETF, but if you could play /B, I think that is a better alternative. If you trade futures, you will have to leverage more. It could take bigger losses, but you'll get a little bit more flexibility, or think about TLT shares. So there will be a couple of different plays depending on the results tomorrow. I even said this yesterday. If that number comes in too low, I wouldn't be surprised that if we have a really big miss to the downside, although you would think that's good news, again, market will probably freak out because that means we are getting into a quicker recession. I would actually expect TLT and the bonds to catch a bit off of that, but beyond all of that, I just want you to understand this, especially as we interpret data coming into the beginning of the year. Just don't forget this whole thing I told you at the beginning of December, like middle of December, when things were moving a little bit. Don't forget this whole concept that 4%, that's the soft landing. Anything lower, that is going to be screaming hard landing, and maybe we got a recession. And then anything above that, that is just slightly more tighter conditions. This is something that we've been going over here, and you could really see it. You know, everybody was getting really, really overhyped. Yields dropped below 4%, and now as things are kind of pulling back, people giving up half of the gain since Powell, you're noticing we're hugging right there at 4%. As we're about to get into data and earnings, I think the market is using this as a gauge, and a lot of people are even bringing this one up by now. So keep that in mind. That is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3. It's related, unrelated, but it's kind of its own little phenomena. Biotechs and healthcare. I have IBB. I have a play on those options. And then Humana, we talked about that one. I still have those shares from the Cigna news. I'm down on them, and I told you I was expecting a big run-up. Well, beginning of the year, we are watching that in a lot of these plays. These have been the outlier outperformers to start the year. If you haven't seen the IBB or the XLV, you'll go look at their charts. They kind of look like everything else, but recently they haven't taken the same drop down as like KRE or any of those plays. It's actually quite fascinating. I believe in the last 2 days, it's even one of the better outperformances against SPY, NASDAQ, and a lot of things since 2005. Once again, one of those statistics. So with that being said, I would just watch out for this, because regardless of what happens, they might be in their own little world, and you should be watching for how long this continues, or pretty much when this phenomena stops. So we have a play, we got some exposure to it, but as you see here, this might be an area to look at. And I believe end of first quarter, even at the end of the month, there's a lot of different biotech events for really big biotech companies, and they could cause some big moves. So keep your eyes out for all of those. As far as everything else, believe it or not, man, by day number 3, I did not make a play today. We riding out plays. I got the exposure by Do. We did add to the long term. We closed out of that oil play that I was talking about. I closed out the next day, literally 30 minutes in. We made like $2,000 on it, but I have no other plays. I'll wait for tomorrow, but I'm not going to force it, and I will be using the dollar as a guide. And then there's other areas where we could be focusing on, but get ready for the data. We'll handle it, take it as it comes, keep a little bit of a vision out for the future, because we have so much on the way. But Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydrate Healthy ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, you ain't afraid of them. They afraid of you. Baby. Have no fear and raise those expectations, Chad. It's a new year. Hope above apathy all day. No matter what you do, nothing will happen. No. Watch. Try your hardest. Something will happen the moment you believe it. But Chad, I love you. God bless you. I will see you in the morning, bright and early. I will see you tomorrow. Drink that water. You better get good sleep. Drive. Horn.